On December 2nd, 2016, a 32-year-old man was brutally murdered in a flat in the exclusive Newtown area of Edinburgh.
In my 27 years police service, I've been at a lot of crime scenes, and that is up there with one of the most horrific crime scenes I have been in.
Kieran Davis was the only other occupant in the locked apartment. He was found wearing jogging bottoms and trainers, stained with the dead man's blood. At trial, Kieran denied the charges, claiming to have no memory of the night.
I truly believe I went to sleep the night before and the police woke me up in the morning. And that's all I know.
Do you think you have it in you to murder someone?
I think I got it in me to be violent. I don't think I got it in me to murder somebody I know.
In July, Kieran was found guilty of murder and is now about to become one of over 8,000 men serving a life sentence in UK jails. Today, he will find out the minimum number of years he will spend behind bars.
Basically, they said, expect a serious sentence.
Thank you. Let's go.
Call.
Yeah.
The murder weapons appear to have been a hammer and an extremely heavy metal pole. It was very obvious that this had been a sustained and horrific attack. It started in a room to the rear of the house and continued through various rooms towards the front door of the house, as if the victim had been trying to escape.
In court, the judge said that Kieran had been convicted on the clearest of evidence of a particularly brutal murder.
The judge gave me a minimum term, 19 years, but it's with a life sentence. A prison sentence could be as long as life in prison.
While the length of prison time varies, all murderers receive a mandatory life sentence. To be released, lifers must prove that they no longer present a risk to the public. They will also be asked to acknowledge or show remorse for what they've done. In Scotland, 98% of life sentence prisoners are male. The average number of years they spend behind bars has been increasing over time.
Well, the reason that I ended up getting 17 in life, I killed somebody. He was actually my lodger at the time. I've stabbed him, I've killed him. I remember the argument before it. I don't remember committing my crime. I remember looking down and seeing myself covered in blood. And somehow I knew it wasn't my blood. I can see all my neighbours standing at the front garden. I can see the victim lying. I can see him lying on his back. The police says I'm being charged with murder. I've been stripped, stuck into a paper suit, and taken into a police cell. I don't know what I'm capable of doing. It frightens me. knowing that I've done this.
When the judge gave Robert Kay a life sentence for murder, she said that this was a brutal killing where an extreme level of violence had been used. The deceased had been stabbed several times and had his throat slit.
How do you explain the violence to yourself?
But the violence, I try not to use it, but it comes out. And I don't know why it comes out. So I try to fight it, but it just rears its ugly head.
After a short period in Barlinnie, Robert is to be moved to a long-stay prison, a purpose-built facility designed for Scotland's most serious offenders. In the heart of the Scottish Central Belt, halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow, HMP Shotts is the country's only prison exclusively for inmates under maximum security.
The biggest problem with prisoners, the place is full of prisoners, and every one of them is unhappy about being here. So there is a negative charge about the place all the time. And it's like a virus, you can't get away from it. And you're only seconds away from somebody losing the plot.
A lot of people live in fear. I've got a lot of people in here that would love to kill me.
What's going to be is going to be. So just live for the day. I just live for this day, and I get through this day. It's a bonus.
Right, Phil, just grab a wee seat there. Did you hit the bulb on it?
Aye, bulb.
Right, bulb. Okay, doc. First time in custody?
No.
No. Life? You've done
Aye,
it? Is a life? 17?
17
Right.
to life.
Any concerns about being here?
No.
No fell out with MD or no yet? No.
I don't know anything about it.
Big questions for us. Are you suicidal?
No.
You want to hurt yourself?
No.
Right, no bother. It's an interview we do. It kind of lets us check their mental state to see if they're suicidal. Because we're an adult long-term jail, we do have a lot of prisoners serving long sentences. As you heard during the interview there, he's only a couple of weeks into a life sentence, so we've got to make sure he's not a risk to himself. Some guys, it takes a wee bit longer to kind of sink in that they're going to be here for a long time. And 17-year sentence here isn't a big sentence here.
Robert will be placed in the National Induction Centre, or NIC. The NIC is a jail within the jail, with its own unique regime, designed for lifers and long-term prisoners just beginning their sentences. The NIC will be Robert's home for at least the next 18 months. Also in the NIC is recently convicted Kieran.
I'd say it's definitely not a hotel. Not even an open window in here, you know. This is just a sink, maybe wash your dishes, clean your personal hygiene. Toilet in here, there's a shower. Normally the bed's made up, which is expected of us, but it's bed washing day to day.
With everything that's happened then with the sentencing, with coming in here, has that changed your sort of position on what happened on the night in question?
I think it's a misjustice. I'm not convinced on the decision.
So you still can't remember what happened that night?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the case at all.
And the sort of forensic evidence about blood on the hammer and blood on the clothes?
Like I said, I'm not really educated enough to answer questions like that. My solicitor would be the one to help me understand that. And the way I understand it is it places me in the scene. It's not 100% to convict me of the crime. So it's hard for me to answer that.
If you can't remember what happened though, how can you be sure it wasn't you?
100% sure it wasn't me, or I'd know something about it. Anything else, I can't answer that.
When you're working with the NIC, you have to put in the back of your mind what the people have been convicted of, because we cannot change the events that led them to be convicted by the court and then just treat them as individuals. A lot of them will turn to drugs. Others don't, they just withdraw into themselves and they're not wanting to talk to people, they don't want to talk about what's happened. And if they're feeling that they're innocent of the offence, they're angry, they're disappointed, and obviously there's an awful lot of emotions going on in their heads. And the coping part is what we're here to help them with, to get through the initial part, start of a sentence, and to get coping. So when they leave the NIC, their addiction issues are sorted, their mental health issues have been hopefully fixed, and they're ready to actually go back into normal circulation.
In time, Robert and Kieran will be moved out of the NIC and into the main body of the jail. But in the normal circulation of HMP Shotts, more than 200 men have been convicted of murder. HMP Shotts is Scotland's only prison exclusively for inmates serving long-term or life sentences. There are over 500 men detained here. Combined, they are serving over 4,000 years. Among them, more than 200 men convicted of murder. James is 8 years into his life sentence.
We don't come to prison to be punished. We come to prison as a punishment and for rehabilitation. But if anybody thinks that we're not getting punished in here, and this is traumatic and difficult and painful, you come and spend a weekend here and you tell me that this is wonderful. Should we be beaten twice a day? Should we be kept in darkness? Should we just be fed, I don't know, like pigs? Tell me what decent society wants to make of us.
So what's the food like in here?
I'll be as diplomatic as I can. It's reasonable. I'm sure none of them outside MD would make it for himself. They wouldn't say this is a wonderful meal and I'm going to have it and yum, yum, yum. You tend to forget about taste. It's just sustenance. But we're not here to be pampered.
James was convicted of the murder of his flatmate, a crime he says he didn't commit.
This one here is actually kind of sums up where you're in prison. This is just a person made up of the food you get from the canteen in here, and he's sitting just pooing out, obviously. And that there's the date of when my friend was murdered. It was Wednesday the 15th of April 2009. I got up in the morning full of the joys of spring. Man United were playing in Europe that night, and so were Arsenal, and I put a bet on at the bookies that both would win, and they both did, but that slip is still sitting in the bookies. And it was also the last day I wakened up in my own bed, through no fault of my own. I was in a house, friend's house, and he was having an altercation with a girl in the room next door, which I just didn't want to hear. And after it all calmed down, she came into the kitchen with a long knife in her hand and said to me, "You say one thing, you're getting it next." The house she fled, she went, and I put Stephen into the recovery position. waited for the police and ambulance to come, which they duly did. And I just simply said, listen, I came in here and found him like this. Because I couldn't tell what happened, because she's in touch with all sorts of nasty, seriously bad people outside. So I said, I just come in and found him. Stephen was still alive at the time, so I thought he can tell what happened. But as it was, he died later on that day.
You know, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you tell him exactly what happened?
Because I'd have been released from prison that night, but I'd have been dead before the weekend. No question about that. I'd have been murdered. 8 years on, did I regret it? No, not at all. I'm still alive, albeit in here. I'm still alive.
At trial, the jury didn't accept James's version of events and found him guilty of murder. The judge said that he had to impose a substantial sentence.
The judge gave me a life sentence. Other people wished a death sentence on me. So I'll thank the judge for giving me a life.
James has made 2 appeals against his conviction and has failed to convince the court on each occasion. In the cell next door, there's another James with another life sentence.
This I shouldn't be doing. Smoking.
60-year-old James works as a cleaner in the visitors' room.
I come up here and I work hard. I can forget for that short period I'm in the prison. When you get that sense of freedom, well, you're seeing a big sky for a start. You're seeing distance. Whereas in the prison, downstairs and that, you're boxed in all the time. Like you've got walls coming in at you.
On the outside, James ran a small animal rescue farm with his wife.
I miss my horses, take my dogs out, that sort of thing. But up here, I can stand, I can look, I can watch the sheep. Sometimes I can see the farmer going around with his dog. I love watching dogs work, doing the sheep herding. It's brilliant to watch that. It's just nature, it's nice to look at. It's good for the soul. That's the best way of putting it.
Unlike his neighbour in the cell next door, this James does not deny that he took another man's life. In 2015, he was convicted of murdering his brother-in-law, who, newspapers said, had links to organised crime.
What do you think about the fact that another man has lost his life at your hands?
It's not a clever thing. It's nothing to be proud of or boast for or anything like that. It's wrong. But I've still got to justify it to myself that I did the right thing, even though it was the wrong thing.
James killed his brother-in-law by repeatedly striking him on the head with a log-splitting axe and a heavy fence hammer. Throughout his trial, he claimed that he had acted in self-defense.
We were cornered. Well, I was cornered. It was over and done in seconds. Killing somebody is the easiest thing in the world to do. It happens that quick and that easy. Whether you mean it or whether you don't mean it. You know, there's people in here, it's 2 seconds of madness, killed their wives or whatever. And it was easy for them to do that, but mentally and inside it'd be as hard as hell and hard to live with.
Former factory worker Paul has been living with the consequences of his violence for over a decade now.
Can I take you back to being sentenced and what that was like?
I remember the judge standing up and he said 16 years. And I was like kind of wow, bang, it was like getting hit with a wrecking ball, boom. You know, it was like, that was it.
How did you deal with that?
You take drugs, didn't you? I took heroin, I took methadone, I took painkillers. took sleep tablets. Then I ended up on methadone for 8.5 years, whatever, it's nearly 9 years. End of the day, I put myself here, so I just got to accept it and go on with it. I deserve to be here, I deserve to be punished for what I've done, so. End of the day, I'm in for murder, so. I was on night shift. I worked in Warburton's as a machine operator. I got into an altercation with one of my work colleagues. Then we had a fight. I had a wee steak knife in my locker. I put that in my pocket. I didn't intend to go out and... I can honestly say I didn't intend to go out and murder him or even starve him. I don't know, I just put it... I didn't even think twice, put it in my pocket. And outside, into a fight again, and I pulled out the knife and ended up stabbing him a couple of times. Worst case scenario, I thought that I'd maybe punctured his lung or something. That's what I'd thought. I didn't know I'd stabbed him in the heart.
But why did you have a knife then?
I worked night shift, so sometimes I'd take my dinner into work. I think I had lamb chops the night before or something, and I took them in to my work. I'd have them later on.
Some people might struggle to believe that you had a steak knife.
Well, look, I've been in 10 years now. I tell you, what have I got to lie about? I'm admitting what I've done was wrong. I deserve to be here.
When people look at Paul, they see a criminal. When I look at Paul, I see a son. In a lot of ways, I feel that my role as a mother is suspended since he's been in. That's what it feels like to me, that I've lost a son. And, you know, I mean, people may say, well, it's his own fault, but it's not my fault. He may well have deserved what he got, but, you know, at the end of the day, a man has lost his life, and that's a terrible thing. Life is very precious. That can never change, you know, for anybody. So I was really quite distressed. But even now, looking back, people would say, you know, remember this and that, and I can't remember anything about that. I just had to break down completely and just, you're not really aware of it when you're in it.
During his 10 years in prison, Paul has completed a series of psychological courses designed to address his offending behaviour and help prove to the parole board that he has changed. But not every lifer chooses to take part in these courses.
For me to be considered for parole or even moving on through the system, I have to do what the prison considers as appropriate courses, mainly to help deal with the crime that I've committed. Now, as I haven't committed any crime, what course could possibly be appropriate? So I'll stay in here for as long as it takes.
James's refusal to engage in the courses could mean that he will never get out of jail.
Is there not a point though when you just say, right, I just want to get out, so I'll do whatever it takes?
Never. If I had to do that, that person to get out of that gate, I would fucking hate him for being such a cowardly piece of shit just to get his own freedom. My life would be over anyway as soon as I went down that road. As soon as I'd agreed to be a liar just to get here, the person I am dies. So I live on in here.
60-year-old James is 2 years into a life sentence.
It's like being dead, but you're still alive. I had a life outside. I had my family, and being separated from them, that's the hardest part for me. Just being locked up away from them.
James calls his wife at least twice a day.
When things happen outside, you want to go and sort them, but you can't go out and sort them. I mean, my wife, she struggles. She's got heart disease, she's got emphysema. You know, before I come in here, I used to help her put on her socks, put her trousers on and such like. Now she's got to do it herself. Yes, yeah. That's how you get on. It's harder for your family than it is for you, because they've still got all the burdens of life out there. Somebody banging here. Right, I'll phone you back tonight, okay? I can speak to you better. 6:30. There's somebody kicking off as usual. Right. I love you loads.
James claims that the brutal killing of his brother-in-law was self-defense. Along with his conviction for murder, he was also charged with attempting to defeat the ends of justice.
Why did you feel like you had to hide the body?
Well, the police both arrested me, locked me up, and that would have left my life there. My wife would have been dead that night. They would have killed her.
Did you think you were going to get away with it, though?
Oh, no. I'm never going to get away with it. I'd already written a letter to them, telling them. And I'd already admitted to it, but I was waiting until I got the wife out the way first. And I'd tell them the full story.
The judge said that hog-tying his victim's body and burying him in a makeshift grave was a dreadful way to treat a fellow human being.
Do you see yourself as a murderer?
Killer, no murder.
What's the difference?
Well, I killed a man. I had reasons. As far as I'm concerned, you can't really say justifiable, but I hadn't really a choice in the matter. There's a murderer. A murderer to me is somebody that actually goes out to kill deliberately. Wants to take a life for just pure nastiness.
Do you think you're capable of that level of violence again?
No. That was just... This was a survival thing.
Paul stabbed a work colleague in a fight outside a factory. In his sentencing statement, the judge said that Paul went to get a knife before he went outside, knowing he was going to have a fight.
You ever had road rage? Aye. No, I know that, but it must have been, you ever had situations in your life you thought, you know, I kind of lost it there?
I got angry.
Aye.
Well, lots of people get into fights and they don't pull out knives, you know?
No, I know that, but you get in a fight and punch somebody and kill them. They fire bang their head and hang me. It's happened.
But knives can do a lot more damage.
Knives can do a lot more damage. Of course they can. But what I'm trying to say, I'm not justifying what I done. I'm responsible for what I done, but I didn't walk about carrying a knife. That knife was in, you understand? Not as if I used to walk about and carry. I never carried a knife in my life.
You did put it in your pocket.
I did, but I told you I'm responsible for everything else. Of course I'm right. What I did was wrong. Of course I'm wrong. Totally wrong what I done. Everybody's capable of murder, Matt. everybody. You can murder somebody. Jane can murder somebody. Paul can murder somebody. It's quite easy to happen. It's the easiest thing in the world today. Everybody's capable of committing murder.
I mean, death makes you think. It made us think, because a life had been lost.
Do you blame yourselves?
I think the guilt, in a situation like this, guilt comes into it. You know, every parent, there's something I've done wrong, and that can play a big part of it can destroy you if you take the guilt process, you know. But I think you've got to be happy with your conscience if you've done your best. And I think in their situation, I think Paul knows we did our best, because that's his testimony. He said he had really good parents, so.
If I didn't have God in my life, I wouldn't have coped. I know I wouldn't have. And that's what I think is really sad. There's a lot of families out there that don't have, you know, the faith and the support that I've got.
You need something to get you through the storm, you know. And that certainly helped me, and helped Vicky, my wife, and it helped Paul through the storm.
I mean, is that about wanting forgiveness from someone who is always going to forgive?
I know that I can be forgiven for the things I've done in my life. I'm still responsible, but I'm be forgiven. No, it doesn't mean what I've done. I have to pay the price for the wrong things I've done, and I'm punished for the things I've done. But at the end of the day, my faith tells me that Jesus died on the cross. He died on the cross for reason being for my sins.
Does that let you off the hook?
No, it doesn't let me off the hook. No, because how does it let me off the hook? I'm in prison, ain't I? I'm being punished for what I've done. If you make mistakes and do things wrong, you'll be punished. Some people might think, oh, he's just turning to God because he's trying to get out of prison and everything else. Other people think you're a crackpot. Your faith gives you hope. So hope's a good thing.
If a lifer is to have any hope of being released from prison, he will have to prove to the parole board that he is no longer a risk to the community. A major part of this process is spending the last few years of their sentence being tested in more open conditions. For some prisoners, after years of being locked up, this is the hardest part of doing time. 50-year-old Tam has spent 34 years behind bars.
When I first came into jail, believe it or not, there was only 3 TV stations. I remember the first programme that came on Channel 4, and it was Countdown, Richard Whiteley and Carol Vorderman, 1982.
You were in jail since?
I was in jail then, yep. This is me opening my door. Let's go.
Tam is serving the end of his current sentence at HMP Castle Huntly, Scotland's only open prison.
Let's go then. Out this door we go. We'll go up to the estates. Nice day, innit? There's no fences, there's no walls, there's no nothing. What they have got is little areas saying out of bounds to prisoners. That's all they've got. It's just relaxed, very, very relaxed. I mean, it is a change. It's a change for closed jails, and it takes a bit of getting used to. Have you been to the castle? That's where all the governors sit. They sit up there, all your managers. That's where the tribunals are held. People are here to try and get out at the end of the day, to try and go home, see their loved ones or whatever, but I think some of them have got to remember what it is they've done in the past. Some of them don't want to remember.
Where do you stand on that? What do you think about?
I think about what happened, of course I do.
In 1987, when he was 20, Tam was convicted of the murder of an elderly man.
I got out in 2002 and I assaulted my brother. You know, I got another sentence, but That's done with now. I can't change the past. Just got to get on with it. It's time to just give it up, start afresh. That's it.
Tam is fully engaged in the progression process and completed all the courses set for him by the Scottish Prison Service.
So you want to progress?
Oh, absolutely, mate. I mean, I came in jail at a young age, and I could basically say that the SPS has been my mum and dad for 30 odd years. And the bad parents that they are. I want out. I am determined to get out that door. Who wants to do this for the rest of their days? You need to be nuts to do this for the rest of your days. I'm just getting too old for it. It's time that I called it a day. Reach for the stars.
As part of his progression towards release, Tam has applied for a week-long home leave.
Letter for Tam. My letter, oh yes.
On the 2 previous occasions that Tam was released on life license, he reoffended and was sent straight back to jail within days of getting out. Today, after 10 weeks of being assessed for his risk to the community, he'll find out if his request has been granted.
Community access granted, get in there, good. So that's good, I've got it, I've got full access. Got it at last. Brilliant, eh? Going home. The letter says I can go home.
HMP Castle Huntly. Most men convicted of murder in Scotland will come here to finish their sentence. They'll be assessed for their risk of reoffending and gradually be reintroduced back into the community. Today, Tam is getting ready for his first home leave.
I love iron. Some guys in here like iron and some don't because they've got their wee mamas to do it for them. Spoiled little shits.
Because of his repeat offending, Tam has been in the prison system for over 3 decades.
See that? You get the line down like that, you know that you're doing a grand job of that, mate. I'm telling you. That's something your mal will teach you. That's a jail thing, that. See, when back in the day when you had to iron your BEDs, your best dress, they called it, you had to iron them right, mate, eh? And if there was one fault in them, mate, the governor would just take them away, fling them up in the air, give you 7 days recreational loss and tell you to do it again. Those were the days, mate. Hard days, but fair. There you go. And all use mummy's boys. That's how it's done. You keep it up, lads.
The last time Tam was released from jail, he broke his license conditions and faced another long spell in prison.
Cracking day for it.
Brilliant day. Glasgow's even hotter. As long as I don't break the curfew rules or break any licence conditions, I'll be dinky do, I'll be fine, mate. And I will be fine because I'll make sure that I won't break any.
What happens if you fail this test?
If I fail this test, I'd go back to closed conditions. I don't even want to think about going back to closed conditions. It's a shithole.
To get to the castle and out of closed conditions, lifers need to complete a series of courses and assessments designed to address their offending behaviour. They call it progression.
Can I have a quick chat with you, please?
You can.
Throughout his sentence for murder, James has maintained his innocence. Unlike Tam, he's refused to take part in any progression courses, even if that means that he will die in jail.
Come down and speak to you about your progression.
I don't think there's any course which you could offer me which would be of any relevance. I'm maintaining my innocence. If I've not committed a crime, I don't understand why I should have to talk about something which didn't happen. In no way will I ever compromise with the truth. And the truth is that I will maintain my innocence.
And I would never ask you to do that. If you're maintaining your innocence, that's your right. But it could end up that you get a psychology risk assessment carried out, which would be a more in-depth assessment, and it could help you progress.
Obviously, it's going to take some time to sink in, because I've spent the last many years accepting the fact that I will be in prison for the rest of my life. So I've actually, the outside world I've cut it out totally.
If James can pass this psychological assessment, he may be allowed to progress towards the castle and release.
There is the danger I'm sitting saying, no, do you know something, I just want to stay here. It's a whole new load of problems and hurdles. And it's not even my problems, it was society's problems with me. They would say, he is this, he is that, he's got the potential to do that again.
But how can you not be desperate to get out then?
I never said I wasn't desperate to get out. But I'm realistic about what I'm getting out to. You know where you are in here. You know exactly where the boundaries are in here. If you go out there, you're cannon fodder.
Glasgow, amazing city. I got shouted once into an office and was told, you're the longest serving inmate in here. See, when you're told you're the longest serving inmate in a prison in the entire population of that jail, that's when you know enough's enough. You just want to call it a day.
Well, what's your secret though? I mean, how do you stay so positive?
Believe me, there's been times where I've wanted to scream and shout and smash the place up. I had one incident where I stabbed myself in the neck because I was depressed and that, and then I went to my bed and fell asleep. I lost quite a lot of blood. The prison officer that found me freaked out. For guys to say that it doesn't bother them, they're lying, because it does bother them. It bothers me.
So how old will you be when you come to the end of your term?
If I serve my full time, I'll be 76.
You worried about what you'll be like?
Me? I don't think I'll make it, to be honest, but with my health problems, if I do get to that age, I'll know nothing about it. I've just got to try and make the best of it.
Paul has at least 6 years before he is eligible for parole. If he continues to cooperate, he could be at the castle in 4. For now, the only contact he has with the outside world is through letters, phone calls, and visits.
How do you think you've adjusted, Paul?
I think when you first come in, the futures seems non-existent, doesn't it? So
Right.
I turned to drugs and I took drugs, and that's how I got through my part of my early sentence.
The longer this goes on, time goes down there. We're coming into the story as quick as possible.
Will they let you know beforehand what's going to happen, or?
Nah, I don't even see it much. I don't even think about it.
There'll be something to work towards, isn't it? Something to
Aye,
work
but
towards.
something to look forward to, aye, but I take my day at a time, and that's the way I live. That's the way I do it. I don't even think about that far ahead. I don't even think about something that's not already happened yet.
Do you think prison's changed, Paul?
I don't think it's made him worse. Certainly it hasn't made him a worse person. It's not,
What do
Billy.
you think? I think I'll get a better handle on Paul when he leaves, because he's in a controlled environment. But I'm sure it has changed him, I'm sure. I mean, you could have been there, no change. Whether it's for the better, I don't know. It's a hard one to call.
You just have to accept it. You have to accept what you've done. And then once you can accept it, because if Because you can be in denial, no in denial. Some people here say they're innocent. Maybe they're innocent, I don't know. Who am I to say they're innocent or no, I don't know. But for me, I'm guilty.
I have to accept the situation and live in the hope that one day the right thing will be done.
And it isn't a defence mechanism in terms of locking that night away in your head somewhere and just telling yourself you didn't do it.
No. What would be the point of that?
Well, it's difficult, you know. I'm just saying, if you did do it, it's a difficult thing to deal with. The fact that you killed someone.
Well, that's something you'd have to ask somebody that's killed someone. I'm afraid you're asking a completely and utter rhetorical question, because if I've no murdered someone, I don't know what your answer you want, because I can't answer that.
And maintaining you're innocent isn't a way to cover up the guilt or anything that you feel.
No.
What would you say to your victims' families?
I'd say I'm sincerely sorry for what I've done. I'm sorry for putting you through that hell and taking away your dad, your partner, your son, your brother, you know, to the victim's family. If I could turn back the clock, I would. Did I intentionally go out to get... No, I didn't. But I was totally irresponsible.
Got to accept what's happening, know what I mean? The guy's dead. It's just out of order.
45-year-old George MacDonald has pleaded guilty to culpable homicide. Today, he will be sentenced.
Feel a bit funny because I don't know what the outcome's going to be, know what I mean? Hopefully the judge is in a good mood. Tell us.
During the course of 22nd March, you carried out a ferocious attack. It involved punching, kicking and stamping. The post-mortem report gives the primary cause of death as blunt force trauma to the head. No sentence I impose can turn back the clock. I sentence you to a period of 8 years imprisonment. That is all.
8 years. I'm not saying years of my life, but it's just got to be accepted, isn't it?
George will serve the whole of his sentence locked up with some of Scotland's most violent prisoners. Like the vast majority of men he'll be imprisoned with, George will eventually be released and expected to live a peaceful and civilized life back in the community.
What'd you get, Jordy? Did you get any?
Aye. How'd you know?
You
wee bastard. That's a fucking result. Maybe God says here, go easy on him.
In the barren heart of the Scottish Central Belt, halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow, HMP Shotts was built exclusively for long-term male offenders. With a population of just over 500 prisoners, the combined total of time being served here is well over 4,000 years.
You get sent to Shotts prison, you've probably done something pretty bad. I try not to think about it. You can think about it because you wouldn't want to come to your work. You've got your murderers, you've got attempt murders, you've got culpable homicides, the guys that are in for organised crime who see jail as an unacceptable risk to what it is they do. There is times when you think, fucking hell, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? It's an environment that can change very, very quickly.
There's no more murderers in Scotland on the one place than there is here. There's guys in here that are not getting out. Never again. So they wouldn't think twice about coming up and cutting your throat. Then go like that to the staff, you come fucking near me, you're getting it. They'll not come in until backup comes. So you're fucking lying there, pissing their blood. That's what you're up against.
30-year-old Henry is in Shotts for a brutal drink and drug-fueled knife attack on his ex-girlfriend.
Anybody that's out there drinking alcohol and taking Valium and taking cocaine and you think that you're fucking Billy Big Boys, it's just, see when something like this, because it will happen. It will happen. I thought it would never happen to me. I thought I can get away with everything. I can get away with murder. I've went out that day and all I remember is waking up in the morning, blood everywhere, a knife at my bed, a onesie that was covered in blood, and I'm sitting like that. I must have killed her. I'm looking about the house for a body. My girlfriend's body, who I loved. Nobody there. I've realised I've definitely done something. And I've just sat down like that, not knowing what's happened, but knowing that I've done something. And I've done helter-skelter violence to my girlfriend with a knife. I've cut her twice. I've held her hostage for 10 hours. And I've assaulted her. All I can say is I'm fucking sorry.
So if someone did that to a member of your family, your sister say, how would you feel?
How would I feel if somebody done that to my sister? I'd want to kill them.
So where does the violence and the aggression come from, Henry?
I genuinely don't know. I just, I don't know.
The judge said that Henry had tortured his victim both physically and psychologically, and sentenced him to 5 years. But in Shotts, there are some prisoners serving in excess of 30 years. And some are on their second or third long-term sentence.
You can be locked up in the jail, but your mind doesn't need to be locked up in the jail. You can be wandering the universe. And it's a way of escaping. If your mind's constantly in the prison 24 hours a day, it'll drive you fucking crazy.
James has a history of violent armed robbery and has spent over 15 years behind bars.
I'm really into astronomy, and I've done a lot of physics for being in. Just sit in my cell and I just sit and make the wee models. They're just bits of paper that you glue onto a bit of card. It passes the time. It's better than just watching the telly 24 hours a day, you know what I mean? Fucking, I can understand why Wayne seeds are pickled with the amount of shite that's on the telly and they're watching it, do you know what I mean? Prefer just to get in about and get an education while I can. And that's what I've used my sentence for, to go out a bit smarter than what I was to come in, which, in all honesty, it wouldn't have been fucking hard.
James has been charged with over 60 offences, many of which are drugs-related.
I was taking heroin and Valium. When you're taking that kind of stuff, your entire existence revolves around that, constantly. Like, it kind of puts me in mind of films on the telly, like a vampire, always having to go after blood. That's what heroin becomes. It actually turns you into its fucking bitch. And the kind of stuff that you do to get it. But it's just...
Nearly half of all prisoners report being under the influence of drugs or alcohol when they committed their offence. In the 1990s, the Scottish Prison Service introduced a widespread methadone programme. Over a fifth of all prisoners in Shotts are on the drug.
Why is it important? What would happen if it was taken away?
To me, it would go back to the way it used to be, which was not a nice place to work in those days. There was a lot of stuff involved around about trying to get drugs in, and people owing money for drugs, and there was a lot of assaults in here, really bad assaults. There used to be loads of syringes and needles, dirty needles and things like that in here. There's an increased risk of hepatitis C, but increased HIV.
Because they would just revert back to
Yeah.
taking.
Yeah, that's what used to happen. They used to like, manufacture their own syringes. It was amazing what prisoners can do.
But methadone isn't the only drug that is heavily prescribed in the jail.
There's everything on here. From carbamazepine, cocodamol, omeprazole, analgesia, everything that you would get in the community.
What are the potential dangers of sort of handing out drugs in a prison?
The obvious. The obvious that they will sell them or swap them or take them all at once or give them to somebody else or be bullied for them. There's all those implications. And that's just one landing on a Friday. And there's 4 landings in a hall, 2 halls, so there's 8 landings. So you've got literally 8 bags like that you're dishing out.
HMP Shotts, Scotland's only all-male adult prison exclusively for inmates under maximum security.
Ready to get punished again?
In here are some of the country's most violent and serious offenders.
There's guys here for cutting the head off of women. I'm not scared, but I'm wary. I mean, put it this way. If somebody makes a move on me, I'm fucking reacting. I'm not letting it fester because you didn't know what that other guy's thinking. And in at his door at night, and all that, I've got fucking 20 years to go. Who the fuck does he think he is? I'll go down and I'll cut his throat in front of everybody so nobody fucks me. That's what there's guys in here that would do that to you in a heartbeat. Fucking bastard, man.
Former soldier Stephen has been in Shotts for 4 years.
There's some really bad people in here, really horrific crimes, you know, horrific. I got into 2 fights about 6 weeks ago because a boy that's in here, he was in for, I've got 2 Staffordshire Bull Terriers, I'm a dog lover, and the boy, he was in for tying a dog to a tree, stuffing a stick down its throat while it's alive, pouring petrol on it and setting it alight while it was alive, and I'm a dog lover, and I just lost the plot with him.
Former barman Davey has worked in Shotts for over 6 years.
When you're kind of applying for a job like this, you've got your visions of what you expect it to be like, because you've seen telly, you've seen movies, you've read shit in the paper, but nothing can actually prepare you for what it's actually like. It's a strange environment to be in. At the moment, it's just a numbers check just now. So Robbie and I are just doubling the doors, making sure everybody's in. You're checking, make sure everybody's alive at this point in the day. A lot of the guys in here have mental health issues, self-harming, that kind of thing. So, like there can be times when you find people, you all right, mate? Lying unconscious, or you know, they've cut their wrists, or you can't let your guard down. You can't forget where you are.
I hear voices come from the telly, or I hear as if it's voices that are in the room. They used to tell me to hang myself and stuff like that, cut my wrists, hang myself or put me down. No swear words and stuff like that.
Stephen was diagnosed with PTSD and paranoid schizophrenia from his time in the army.
Done a few tours over in Afghanistan. But I've seen some right horrible stuff over there. A suicide bomber went into a market and detonated himself. It was pure devastation. Everywhere there was bodies lying everywhere, there was parts of bodies lying everywhere. There was kids, women, men, blown apart. It just didn't make sense. And we were given bags and we were to go around and pick up all the body parts and just put it in bags. So these bags, and we had to pick up basically all the parts of people, kids, and they would get taken away somewhere to the morgue or whatever. Then they'd sort the bits of bodies out and stuff like that, so they knew who was who and what bits belonged to what, to give to the family, to bury their family. I don't like talking about it, just makes me agitated. Since I left the army, I've been in hospital about 20 times, and I've tried to kill myself 5 or 6 times. But sometimes it's just a cry out for help, you know, that. But I've probably tried to kill myself about 5 or 6 times. When that door shuts at night, all you've got is yourself and your thoughts. I wake up in the middle of the night sweating, nightmares, screaming.
When prisoners are deemed a risk to themselves or others, they will often spend time in the segregation and reintegration unit, known by the inmates as the digger.
We have people who maybe can't cope very well, and they're down here because it's seen as the best place for them for a period. We've people in the prison system who use self-harm as a form of release, a form of expressing themselves. It's the only thing that they can see to do that makes them feel better. So we have had guys down here who, you know, cut themselves so bad on their arms that they could almost pass their finger through one side of their arm and out the other. And that's no exaggeration.
The SRU is the last resort for prisoners who can't cope or can't manage in general population.
They're here for a reason. You know, they're not good boys. Certainly most of them are not good boys. They'll be closely supervised by 3 staff at all times. They won't get to mix with each other. They'll be confined to their cell for a big part of the day, only getting access to the telephone, the library, or exercise in the open air outside.
I love some carrots, aye. See, this is our 5-star meals, what we're getting now. Look at this stuff, man, that's a sparrow's leg. Look at this cell as well. Would you look an animal in here, man? See if you had a lion or a bear or something in that cell. Fucking, there'd be picket signs and everything outside, man. You couldn't put an animal in there, man. Look at the size of the place, man. Been down here for fucking months, man.
They adopt many different coping strategies. A lot of guys will just sleep the day away. They do turn day into night. They'll sleep the day away and watch TV all night. Other guys will climb the walls.
I wouldn't recommend the SRU for anybody that's a bit weaker-minded because it kind of grinds down on you after a while. You're frustrated, you're angry, and it's like you've got to get your anger out. You can end up maybe fighting with staff or smashing the place up.
We can go through periods where we have quite a lot of disruption, where prisoners will set off fire suppression systems. They'll set fire to their cells. They will try and smash the fixtures and fittings. So you really don't want to have wooden furniture and stuff like that, stuff that can be broken and made into weapons, because we have to deal with these guys, you know, every day. Hi, John.
You have to have some kind of relationship, some kind of working relationship with the guys in the flat. If that relationship was to break down, which sometimes it does, it can make things quite difficult. There have been members of staff followed home after shifts, or they've had maybe their families threatened, you know. It's not a place where you bring your personal life in here. You leave all that kind of shit at the door. For the minute you walk in that door, you're dealing with 60 other guys, infinitely worse problems than yours.
You contacted any of the army charities to see about them giving you a wee bit of help?
No, I'm not bothered with the army charities because
right.
When I became no well,
right,
and they just medically discharged me, basically turned their back on us.
Aye.
So I don't ask the army for nothing, and I'm in here, and this is like, obviously you don't get guns, but in here's like the army with all the boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm on about?
No, listen, I can see that, Steve. All your life has been regimented, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Whether it be homes, whether it be army, whether it be in prison.
How do you square away the fact that some of these guys have done some pretty bad things and you're there having to get on with it?
You basically switch off to it, what they've done, because you need to see past that in order to help someone. You're not going to be able to ever help someone if you've got these preconceived blocks in front of you that are going to stop you. You know, you're just going to hit roadblocks all the time. It's not going to help anyone. We're here to do a job, whether some people would agree with it or not, but listen, we've got a duty to care for these guys. So we have to do what we can in here in order to make sure that they don't go back into the same cycle that they were in outside.
In 2013, Stephen was sentenced to 7 years for a violent assault and robbery.
All we had to do was go in the house and get the safe. And as we walked in, I took a right into the living room, and there was a lady there. And I asked her where the money and that was. She was saying there was no money, no money. I says there was 2 wee dogs barking. So I picked one of the dogs up and I says, if you don't tell me where the money is, I'm going to kill your dogs. I didn't want to hurt the lady, so I had to use some sort of leverage. So I picked up the 2 wee Yorkies and I put them in the other room. I never hurt the dogs or anything. I just put them in the other room, and then I've come in. I says, you got to tell us where the money is. She says, there's no money. We tied our wrists. I went into the other room. I says, did you get the money? He says, aye, I got some of the money. I left a glove at the scene of the crime, and that's how they got me, was the DNA. I did what I did. I can't take it back, but I just hope that lady could maybe one day forgive me for what I did. I would do anything to make it up to her, anything at all.
A lot of them will get regret for what they've done.
And how do you know if that remorse or regret is genuine? How do you know?
Well, that's a $1,000,000 question, isn't it? I don't know. I just go with appearance and how the guys present. I try to develop a relationship with them. And you can only go on your own instincts, can't you? You can go through all the training in the world, you'll never know if someone's genuine or not.
James has over 60 offences to his name. His most recent crimes involved robbing elderly and vulnerable people at knife point.
Definitely no angel. I freely admit that I'm a fucking scumbag. But it's really easy to have a knife and take possessions of somebody that don't belong to you. And I've paid the price for doing that and deserved every fucking day it, the truth be told. I mean, the stuff that I've done throughout my life, you can't make up for that. You just can't. I've seen like older people that have spent their whole life in prison, maybe I'm talking about like 40 or 50 years, and the people are just shells. They're empty shells. It's really no life for anybody.
In 2 days' time, James will be released back into the community, having spent over 15 years in prison.
When I leave here, my entire life will be in 2 boxes and a bag.
That one, that's Chandra. It was quite hard to make that. You don't get a lot of tinfoil in prison, especially in prison, because you can use it for pipes, for like smoking cannabis, or worse, smoking heroin. That's Voyager. It's travelled further than any other, and it's heading towards interstellar travel. It's phenomenal what humanity can do when they really set their mind to it.
Due to the seriousness of his crimes, James will spend the next 8 years on licence. He will remain under strict supervision from social services and must stay away from drugs or risk coming straight back to jail.
The thing that scares me most is coming back here.
What would happen if you did end up back in here?
I'd probably kill myself, to be honest with you, because I'd rather just no suffer than come back to this. That's the bottom line. That's why I definitely want to make a go at it when I get out. Just coming back here to suffer, it's no purgatory, this is fucking hell. It makes me laugh, and I hear people saying outside that it's a holiday camp. It's not a holiday camp. They could take the TV away and leave you locked up in the room. Everything you want and everything you want today is on the other side of the fence.
At HMP Barlinnie, there's a jail within the jail. This is the national top end. Here, lifers and some long-term prisoners, with around 4 years left to serve, begin a series of tests to evaluate their risk to the community. Hoping to put a lifetime of crime behind him and progress to his earliest possible release is new arrival Jason.
I've had fights. I can't tell you many fights because it's been a lot of fights. I've held hostage Jason and Peter, 2 different guys. I held them hostage, locked them in a cell because they had drugs and I wanted them. I've caused people. I've slashed a guy that was lying sleeping in his bed, same situation. I've heard people say, oh, you must love life in the jail because of the amount of time you've done. No, I didn't. It's just that I get, well, years ago when I used to take drinking drugs.
In 2003, Jason was found guilty of assault to severe injury and endangering life. He stabbed his drug dealer in a dispute over money.
It was 16 times I stabbed him, you know. The reason it was 16 times was he grabbed for his knife as well, and he was trying to stab me, but I kept ducking at the road of his stabs. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't even near close to dying or anything. I think the worst he had was a punctured lung. Do you know? No, I punctured lung. He was in and out that day.
Did you think about doing it beforehand, or did you?
Oh yeah, you premeditated. Aye, I went in with a knife. Aye, I knew that if he wasn't going to help me out and give him the money back in 3 days, that I was pulling the knife out to stab him. Do you know? Oh, aye. Or I wouldn't have had the knife with me.
Does that worry you that that's in you?
Aye, and no. Years ago when that happened, I used to have a knife on me all the time. But now I would never carry a knife. And I just wouldn't stab another person now. I've no reason to get back in that lifestyle.
How can you be sure? Because plenty of people who have addiction problems, they get into scrapes that don't end up stabbing people 16 times.
Aye. I see. I see what you mean. This is the first set of stairwells. You get one at both ends. This is the snooker table, as you're aware, by the snooker table there. Here, staff will play snooker with the guys. That's a plus compared to other jails.
Jason has 4 more years of his current sentence left to serve. At the top end, he'll face a series of tests to try and prove that he's no longer a risk to the community.
Aye, so this is the gym. You've got the 2 running machines. You've got the mats for the sit-ups, rowing. My radio, I've left my radio there, but chained it up so nobody can take it. These are called the back stairs, and I clean these. This is part of my job.
To begin with, Jason has been given the job of cleaning a section of the jail, including the senior officer's kitchen.
And this is where they keep all their wee nook and that biscuits. They've got sweet teeths, by the way. We ain't going to be able to buy them on our canteen. You know what I mean? Hazelnut and chocolate chip chunk kings. No chance. Them look lovely to you. And I know what you're thinking. Do they never come and offer you one? No.
You never tempted to sneak a
Oh, no, because what happens if they've got one counted? No, what if they've got them counted in the office? Right, there's 12 in the packet. Put them back in. And when we come out for them in the morning, one missing. Oh, I'd be sacked. Do you know what I mean? Yes, and it is tempting. I want my freedom as soon as possible, so I didn't mind jumping through the hoops. That's what the guys call it, jumping through the hoops. Because as I say, I want to be free as soon as I can.
What are the gauges that you look at when you're evaluating someone like Jason? And how do you know that that's genuine and not just a front?
They'll go through long periods of assessment and their behaviours would be scrutinised through their entire sentence. So it would be a long period of time in order to keep up a facade.
Jason's next test will be when he's allowed out of jail for a 2-hour visit to a local shopping centre. With a history of escaping from open conditions, the prison needs to find out how he will cope with life on the outside.
What are you looking forward to?
Mainly to buy new trainers. Head and shoulder shampoo. You don't get that in the canteen up here, so I like that. Not that I've got bad dandruff, it's just I prefer that shampoo, you know. And I maybe buy myself something to eat, like a trifle or something. A trifle. Or a wee cheesecake.
Well, that's what you call a bag.
At HMP Shotts, 41-year-old James has over 60 offences, many drugs-related and involving violence. Having refused to engage with the process of moving on to an open jail, today he will be released straight from maximum security.
Every other time I've got out of prison, I thought to myself that before I got out, I was going to go and get drugs as soon as I got out. But this time, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't think like that. This is stripped to practically his bare bones. It's good to take a mental image away, but when you think about going off the rails, remember this and you won't go off the rails.
As a repeat and serious offender, James will be under strict supervision from social services for the next 8 years.
Right, James, I've got a list of questions I'm going to go through with you.
No bother.
OK. I've got your licence here, so I'll give you that once you get up to the gate.
All right, cool. Right.
What's your number?
7644.
What was your sentence?
10 years.
10 years. There's a wee signature, that bottom line there. Hey, James. Let's get you here.
Aye, cheers.
James is leaving the jail for the first time in his 10-year sentence.
Take panic attacks every time if I start thinking about it too much. I know as soon as I get out the door, it'd be like going right into an episode of the fucking Twilight Zone. It's making me more apprehensive than anything. I was excited. But now I just feel fucking sick at the thought of it. It'll just be my luck. I'll have to get fucking stuck and I'll get imprisoned in this.
How you feel?
Sick.
You know what this is?
No idea.
That's the door.
Is it? Aye. I can actually see you outside. I know, that's weird, isn't it? Aye, thanks a lot. Cheers. This is fucking strange after all that time. Cheerio. Fucking weird, man. It's fucking surreal. It's dead weird. Dead weird. I just don't let you out.
Some of the prisoners are nervous. If you've been inside prison for 10 years, a lot has changed outside. If James gets support, who knows, we might never see him again. But if they don't want to change, if they want to go back to a life of crime, we will see them again, there's no doubt about that. We had a prisoner released from here and he was back in custody 6 hours later.
It's weird that they just, after all that time, they open the door and give you a pat in the back, give you £70 and say good luck. This is where people need help the most, here. They put you out the door in the worst state financially and mentally and expect you not to come back. It's fucking ridiculous. I know a lot of the public think that when you get out of prison, that's you, you're out. But you're still doing your sentence. I've still got another 8 years to serve, but I'm serving it out here. The best way I can describe it is picking a goldfish up out of a bowl and dropping it into the Atlantic Ocean.
In HMP Barlinnie at the national top end, Jason is being released for a 2-hour trip to the shops. He'll be accompanied by 2 G4S security guards. Jason has a history of absconding from prison, running away on 3 separate occasions. In 2006, he walked out of an open prison and was on the run for nearly a month.
I decided to do a runner, and my plans were do a runner, meet up with a girlfriend, go down England, get a boat over to France, and then just have a wee life over there. But as you know, you need money for that. I've no methadone, and I've been on methadone for years, and I still needed it every day. So the only way I was going to get it was to get money. I went into the public toilets in St James Centre. I waited on a certain kind of dressed person to come in knowing that they would maybe more likely to have money. So I seen one came in with a suit on. I went to rob him. He's screaming. Oh, when I pulled the knife out and I ran out, and the St James's security guards caught me, and I got 5 years for that.
In the unprovoked attack, Jason used a steak knife to threaten his victim and cut him on the wrist in the ensuing struggle.
There's a risk involved with anybody who goes out into the community. For Jason, the need was to prepare him for eventual release because he's failed on so many occasions, and he's failed to adhere to licence conditions. He has committed various offences or been in the vicinity of various offences, and he's been recalled to custody on several occasions. Therefore, the idea this time was to give him a slow reintegration back into the community to ensure that he is prepared.
Got your money in your profile.
Aye.
Remember, no foodstuffs back, all right?
No bother.
Excellent, right, Stu?
Aye.
Good to go?
Back then, I run away to run away. I don't run away to hand myself in. You give me a shot at my freedom and I'm taking it. I don't care where it is, hospital, whatever. And come into the cuffs are off, I'm off.
It's been a week since James was released. Due to the violent nature of his crimes, he's under strict licence conditions to minimise his risk to the public.
There's 16 conditions in all. I'm not allowed to go near any of the victims, obviously. I'm not allowed to go near the area where I used to stay. I have to be in the house for 10 o'clock at night. I'm not allowed to hang about with people of a criminal persuasion, like people that have been in trouble with the police. I need to take regular drug tests. I never had a lot of expectations for getting it. Just try to take in as much as I can. But it can be a bit too much and can get overwhelming as well. The way people are, the way they interact, it's alien. Everybody's walking about as if they've got something extremely interesting in the palm of their hand. I guess that's a mobile phone. It's weird. Everybody seems to be in a rush to get somewhere as well. Time's moved on, but somebody's forgot to tell me.
Barlinnie, Jason is coming back from his trip to the shopping centre without any incident.
I went to McDonald's. I enjoyed the chips more than the burgers. The burgers were cold and there wasn't even cheese on them. Do you know what I mean? No square cheese, nothing. Just a burger on a bun, which was crap. But the fries were nice.
So is this all a test then?
Oh, aye, it's all a test, aye. It's not so much a test now if I'm going to run away. I know I want to have a runaway and I think they know that too.
And if the opportunity did come up, like if the officers were looking the other way or whatever?
Run away?
Yeah.
Never. No, I would never do it. I know I wouldn't. I just know I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? I don't think like that anymore. It's stupid. Do you know? No, it's daft.
Do you think that prison works as a place for rehabilitation?
That's a difficult one, because having been in here a long time, me and Elaine have seen a lot of guys come back and back for numerous long-term prison sentences. I've seen lots that have gone out and never come back.
I would imagine you must come to a time where you would just think, I need to accept that fighting against it isn't going to work. It's only damaging themselves in the long run. But I think if they don't take on ownership of it and take on responsibility and want to, it's not going to happen. If they don't want to, it won't work.
James is back in Shotts. He lasted 20 days before breaking his license conditions and being recalled to prison.
How did it feel coming back here?
Horrible. I'm not supposed to be back here, but the thing is, when I got out, my anxiety was that bad. I'd get up in the morning, I'd get showered, put my clothes on, and I'd walk up and down the flat for about 25 minutes, half an hour, trying to build my courage up to just to get out of the house. My head was really, really messed up. I couldn't retain information. I was being told things, and it was like I was being inundated with information. I couldn't cope with it all. And eventually, I started missing appointments.
What is it, a sense of relief being back, being in your routine that you know?
I'm wanting to say no, but aye, it is. You know, it's not supposed to be like that, you know what I mean? I'm not supposed to want to be in prison. But I don't actually want to be here. I do want to be outside. And if I let me out the more, I know for a fact I wouldn't be fucking back.
You said that the last time.
Mm-hmm. I know, but I know how thin the line is, do you know what I mean? The thing that scares me the most is I've still got 8 years of the sentence left. When the law can make me do that entire 8 years. That's the weird thing too. I didn't like being outside, but I didn't like being here, so what's the alternative? Where else do you go?
Silly life, wasted life I've had. I've never been in a restaurant having a meal with a girl. Never been on an airplane, never been on a holiday abroad. I've never had champagne. One of my biggest regrets I've missed out on is having children. And I always think about that. I want children. I'm 44 now though. And when I do get out, it's meeting the right partner. Can she have kids if you meet? There's a lot of variables to it. So I maybe never ever have a child in my life. So even right up to the day I die, I'll probably always keep saying to myself, look at all the years I could have been free. Do you know what I mean?